Well, way, way, oh, way, oh, hey, oh, way, oh, hey, hey, oh, way. Kiha Kolomosi, Ninja Shinzi, Kikai, Man, Uniai, Lamawo, Tekwa. How are you? My name is Chief Man. I am the Turtle Clan chief of the Ramapough Lenape Nation's Turtle Clan. It's my hope that through watching this short documentary that you will remember our past, see us in our present, and help us into our future. The Ramapough Turtle Clan is beyond resilient. We have fought for the last 500 plus years to stay in the very footprint of our ancestors, the place where we have always been for 12,000 years. Through the voices that you'll hear in this documentary, it's important to sometimes be able to close your eyes and just listen to the voices.
My family goes back here at least over 200 years at Upper Ringwood. And as a matter of fact, when I'm in this church on Sundays, I find the amazement of looking, at the ceilings and the walls because it was my family members, who, amongst, the other residents that lived there at that time, that built this church. And when I come in, I just feel this, I don't know, I feel everything from the heart, when I'm here and I look around and I'm thinking about, look at this, they did some good work, and whatever. But anyway, my family, like I said, they have been here for centuries, and they play a big, important role in this town because one of the places that's important is the Ringwood Manor, and that's where most of my family members worked, to keep the Ringwood Manor going for the Hewitts, who ended up being pretty good people because we were in dire straits with this church. We was going to lose it, but we found the deed. The Hewitts deeded this church to the residents of Upper Ringwood because, which I think they realized, everything that they did. And then where I'm at was a prosperous mining company called Peter's Mine. And that was another big place where most of them worked. This mining industry was so large that some of our bridges are held up with some of the steel from this mining industry. And they made cannonballs for the Revolutionary War there. And it was really like, nice. It was a very big operation. But as I said, personally myself, I've been there all my life. And I know my mom and dad have been there all their life. My family learned to live off of the land a lot. So, they had herbs, and things that they would go and collect, for healing. And then there was, like, as I said, there was fruit trees or whatever. They would go, and get. My sister made the best peach pie. I'm telling you, with the peaches. And sadly, we've had our share of poverty, but because as a kid, if I got a hole in my shoe, unfortunately, I got a new piece of cardboard. My dad got sick at a very young age, so he became disabled at a very young age, and it was tough. Like one of the things I found, I found a diary of his, and he was going to get a $3 pay, but he also noted with that $3 pay that he had to take his baby to the doctor, and I'm like, you know what? It was fine. Like, we didn't have, growing up, there was 6 children and the parents. We lived in a little 4-room house, and we did not have running water. We'd have to go way down into the woods and carry buckets and bottles full of water from the above ground springs. We did not have electricity. We used kerosene lamps. We did not have inside plumbing. We had an outhouse that you had to walk to. And we had like a school bus walk that was almost a mile and a half, whatever. But some of the best memories of my life, because also with that school bus walk, that was our sleigh ride. And you talk about a nice sleigh ride, we really, really had a nice sleigh ride. And I don't know why, but I don't remember walking back up the hills all the time we went down. And but I love my life growing up as a child. When you're younger, you don't realize what you miss out on when they're trying to really tell you things. Oh my God! Now I'm on a journey because, like her mom and whatever. I'm trying to find, you know, out where all my grandparents are. Burial wise, this and that, and but that's my big thrill right now in life. That's my passion. I cemetery seek because that's how you find out a lot. And then of course I decided doing the ancestry DNA testing and stuff, and that helps you find a lot of relatives. That we are far and wide. Everybody thinks that everybody just stayed there, but we are far and wide. It's really amazing. And as I said, that's my passion right now. I am so into wanting to. My sisters, they say to me, "Well, you want to stop trying to go back into 1800s, this and that," but they just don't get it. It's like I enjoy it so much. I feel we're between a Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons. You know what I'm saying? We weren't that far back, and we weren't that far advanced. And as I said, I would do it in a minute, go back, to my life, my childhood, and everything. So when I couldn't find my great grandmother, that's when I discovered that there used to be cemeteries under the original Wanakee Reservoir. So in 1922, they exhumed 258 bodies from that cemetery to make way for the Wanakee Reservoir. So amazingly, I ended up with one of the cemetery maps. I wish I had brought that with me, but anyway, lo and behold, I found out my grandmother was one of those bodies they exhumed, my great grandmother. Now these old headstones that you see here in this road, that way back, this is the reservoir. The reservoir is this area. So I know she's here someplace, and other family members, but it's very hard, to see the headstones. But this is something I'm kind of working on down here. I see other family names. So this to me is a very important part, like I said, doing my genealogy. And I look back, and try to see if I can try to link any of these that I see with my family names. But I have family members buried all through this cemetery, far and wide. I'm not going to, walk it, but I do want to actually leave this part and go to another part, all right, and show you my family's gravesite. And then, but this is an interesting part to me. We are at the Midvale Cemetery, where I have a lot of family members. And I want to point out, I'm going to turn my head here to show you this headstone here is my brother who got unfortunately killed by a school bus. And my mom is here, my grandmother, and my nephew. And we come because, we find a lot of comfort here. My mom just dropped dead suddenly at 43 years old with no explanation or nothing. So this is where they are at. Biggest part of my family.
Okay, my name is Dennis DeFries. I'm a native Lenape Indian from Upper Ringwood from a long time ago. And I have a lot of good stories to tell. And I reminisce a lot about those times that I miss and all this sleigh riding as a kid, doing different stuff. especially helping my dad out with his gardens. He loved to build gardens. We lived off the land, actually. Everything that he grew, my mother canned it, and she was a stay-home mother. And my dad, he done everything. You know, he had 10 of us and big family to feed. And he would get pigs and chickens. We would get our eggs from the chicken shacks. That was beautiful. I missed that a lot. And he used to raise the hogs, but they were pets. But at the end of October, it was time to slaughter them. And what they did, we all worked. We all worked as a unit, you know, when he had his hogs. They got gigantic. And I remember him calling them. They call them just like little pets. And then when he done it, what he had to do to them, and then we start cleaning them, and he was the butcher also. But everybody in the whole family, we all worked together. We had to clean the pig, wash the pig, had to do everything. My dad cut it up, and then he would take it and put it down in the basement, and my mom would go out and get these bags of salt, and she would salt it all down so that it would be good all winter long. Good food, fresh food.
That was a tradition?
Yes, yes. That was every year we done that. And of course, my dad was a fisherman. That's who I take after, fishing and hunting. And we would go out in the woods. I would shoot deer, bring them back. My dad would shoot them. And he taught me a lot how to fish and hunt. I guess I'm the only one in the family does it. But back then it was really, really, really great.
Back when?
Back when I was a kid.
When?
That's like 40, 50 years ago. I mean, a long time ago, before, you know. But before this tragedy that happened to our land. The town bought the water system for $1. Okay? And the town turned around, they got a grant, and they upgraded the water system. And what they did with that water system, which was a great water system, they would turn around and charge the people that owned the water, and then they would pump it up in Skyline tanks and all over and feed all Ringwood off of our water. You know, it was very wrong what they did. And dumping, when it comes back, everything man versus Ford, you know, that was all right. I was looking at the video of it. But a lot of that was propaganda. A lot of it was a lot of propaganda because you have to know the truth. You have to be there to see what happened like I did. I saw what happened. Ringwood Borough was the worst one there was. It was the worst. And I worked for him. I didn't dare say nothing because I would have lost my job. I would have lost my job if I said anything. Well, we dumped this. And then, right on, I think that's Van Dunk Drive, where the houses where we tested, the houses, I remember us dumping every third of the month. They called it heavy garbage. The town would go around, they would pick up everybody's washing machines, refrigerators, and you know Freon's the worst there is. And they would just dump it down in back of the how-to homes, and they would bury it with dirt, and all that's it's done.
These were homes near where the Ramapough had their homes?
Correct, where they built the new homes, where all the new homes was funded by, which they call How To. That was a government program. And that's where they dumped right in back of their homes. Right in back of their homes. And they crooked them out of the land across the street. I remember my friend Alan Morgan. He's a good friend of mine. I worked with Alan. He used to live by me. And Alan was on the committee for the How To. And he had told me, which like I said, we had no organization. We had nobody to run our section or town, whatever you want to call it, up here. We had nobody to run and organize it. We have so much property over what we call the ridge. I call it the ridge. Now the town took it away from us because we owed taxes on it, so they let the town take the property. Now the town's going to profit off of that, I hear. They're putting cell towers, not cell towers, the electrical things, the panels. That's all they're trying to approve panels on a whole mountain ridge. Approve the panels. And that was ours. That was ours. That was our property, Ramapough's.
So it sounds like you're a hunter and a fisherman, and have things changed for you for hunting or fishing or growing?
Around here, hunting is very dangerous around here anymore. Fishing is very dangerous around here anymore. Of all the pollutants that's in the ground and all the pollutants that are in the plants, because you shoot a deer. They used to tell me how they shoot these deer, and they had all this stuff inside of them, like this stuff. And I'm telling them, Valerie even said it. They guys would shoot the deer and bring the deer, and they would have some kind of disease inside of them from eating the plants, which was only common. Then they tested the squirrels. I used to go squirrel hunting, and they tested the squirrels down here. They said the squirrels had lead in them, so much lead in them you couldn't eat them. I'm like, what? When the old saying from the natives and from my parents, when you go in a brook and you find a native trout swimming in there, that's pure. That is pure as can be. Because I used to drink it. They say you drink water, your stomach will, no, it will. Your stomach will, you'll be getting typhoid fever, you'll be getting everything. I drank the brook. When I was hot, I would run a ridge, me and my brother. We'd go out there, we'd fish. I'd go right down into the water, get myself some water. Man, that was nice and cold to spring. It was beautiful. Now I look at it, all rusted because of the dumping, all the breakdown of all the iron that they put in the ground, bicycles, all the junk barrels, all the stuff that they buried. That went into our ground, and that's what polluted the brooks.
Well, I'm Shirley DeFries Van Dunk. Van Dunk is my married name. I grew up as a DeFries. My grandparents raised me, so that's why I have the name DeFries.
Are you part of the Ramapough Nation Turtle Clan?
Yes, I am. I'm part of the Turtle Clan.
For the Ramapough
For the Ramapough Nation.
And how long ago did you live here?
Well, I moved in 1968 to West Melford, the Upper Greenwood Lake part. I bought a home.
And how long did you live in Ringwood?
I was born in Ringwood, right where Margaret King and Peters Mine Road connects. I was born in a little house. I have a picture someplace there in the bags by a midwife named Miss Root.
So you've been here quite a while.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Would you tell me a little bit about your family history, some of the traditions and things that you experienced growing up here, and what it was like to be a Ramapough Turtle Clan Nation member?
Well, life wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to live in the Ramapough Nation because we had no inside plumbing. In fact, my grandfather dug the well, and how he found the water was he took a peach branch, and when the peach branch went down, that meant there was water there. So he dug the well, lined it with rock, and built an outside where you could have a bucket and put it down in the well and pull it up. And we lived off the land. He grew chickens, he had a pig, and he hunted. So we ate all that. We did have a store. We went to the store for some things, but basically my grandmother cooked everything. The bread. She made homemade bread and cake and rice and all that. And he had to cut the wood, go in the woods, get the wood for the fire. And he made utensils. I have utensils that he made, like for the rolling pin, the spatula. My grandfather made these utensils. This, of course, is a rolling pin that my grandmother used when she made a pie. And she had spoons to stir the vegetables that she made. And there was a fork to pick it up. And this was a spatula, like to turn the meat over, to turn the eggs over.
And what about some of your own personal history? What would you like to talk about in terms of your personal history, your hobbies, what you did, how school was for you?
Well, I I went to school in E.G. Hewitt. The Hewitts had several schools. They had a school down on Farm Road that my grandparents went to, which I hope we'll be able to take a picture of. And then there was a school up where the Borough Garage is that my husband went to, but I didn't go to. And then they built E.G. Hewitt, which our class was the first class that started E.G. Hewitt in 1938. And I graduated from there in 1948. And then we didn't have a high school, so we had to go to Butler. And there was 5 of us of Ramapough that went to that school, but there was like 1,000 kids. And when I graduated, I was the first one to ever graduate from high school from this area.
My name is Valerie Milligan Gunn. I've been married to my husband for 47 years. I have 2 grown children and 5 grandchildren. I am a Native American. I am a Ramapough from our tribe. And I love life.
So, how was it growing up a Ramapough, Valerie?
Well, I come from a family, I had 7 sisters and 4 brothers, and my mom and dad was always there for us. And, you know, we learned a lot of different things. We all cook from scratch. We don't, fake food, as I say. But it was a good life. I mean, we had a full town. There was a lot more people in our town, but then eventually some of the people moved away. In Ringwood, yes. But I myself personally had a good life with my mom because I had great parents.
Did you celebrate, what were some of your cultural traditions?
Well, we celebrated all the holidays, all the normal holidays. Christmas, New Year's, Easter. We celebrated all the holidays, the normal holidays. So.
As a Ramapough, did you have different traditions, and did you try to give those traditions to your kids?
Well, I did. I mean, I talked to my children. My children were involved. We had some art classes. Well, not really art classes, but we had someone who was teaching the kids the Native American way, which was good. We had classes up until he got sick and he passed away. But we always believed in our cultures. We always believed in our tribe. And, that's how we lived. Now it's like, it's a little, I don't know how to explain it, but I think in our community there's a form of paranoia, if I may, because we've lost so many people from illnesses that it's like, we're like, oh my God, who's going to be next? Or we worry if someone else is sick in the community, but that's a really big fear for everybody right now.
And why do you think that there's more illness and death in the community of the Ramapoughs than
Yes, I do.
Jersey in general?
Yes, I do. I do. Well, part of it is because, I have to tell you, I was 10 years old, and I was watching these trucks come up with these big barrels on the back of them. And we were kids, we were playing at my grandmother's, but we didn't know what it was. Only later did we find out that it was very harmful chemicals. And all of us were exposed to it over a period of years. And so it seemed like after that, we just started losing people. I mean, there were so many people that had cancer. I mean, if you look on one of our streets, Van Dunk Lane, they called that Cancer Row because everybody in that house had cancer. So it's just one of those things, and we're trying to go on, we're trying to move forward. Chief Vinny is trying to help us, with new programs and stuff, and I've been on their board, and it's very exciting. And I'm just hoping that, you know, we can make Ringwood, our community, better.
So how many people do you think are still living in the Ringwood?
Well, I will say this, as far as our seniors, as far as our elderlies, I'm considered as an elderly because the elders that we have now, you can count on one hand because we've lost so many people. You know, people haven't lived beyond the 60s. It's been very sad, you know.
And when you were growing up, what was it like then?
Oh, it was so different. I mean, the town had so many houses. There were so many people. We just was great. I loved it. That's why I say I'm fortunate that I was a kid back then and I was raised the way I was raised, because now it's like totally different.
Oh, hi, my name is Ricky
Last name?
Milligan. I've been here from 9 months old to 32 years of age.
Okay. And here is where?
Ringwood.
Okay. So you've had a little bit of a different relationship with the Ramapough, and I'm really interested in knowing. So you came here when you were 9 months, and tell us some of your experiences in growing up Ramapough, because you were not born a Ramapough.
But I was adopted into the culture with cards and everything else, yes.
Okay. So tell us about your experiences growing up a Ramapough Native American.
I mean, basically, if you were in the countryside, the 80s were the best time to grow up and live because everything was still normal.
So tell me some of the traditions or some of the things that you did that might be, you know, more related to growing up as a Native American.
Oh yeah, like, besides living off the land, farming, having to, you know, slaughter the animals and, you know, for food and everything. We helped chop the wood, we helped build teepees, we helped, you know, we helped basically the Indian nation like rebuild itself. And, you know, multicultural generations of aunts, uncles, and, you know, grandfathers and stuff like that. Basically, he hasn't been around for probably 50 to 80 years yet, but
Vinny is the chief of the Turtle Clan.
yes,
You want to say that?
he's been around helping us for longer than I know. Because even when I was a kid, being, I say, 6 to 15, there was a lot of, you know, we were here a lot, and, you know, there was things going on with the town, and we played on Sludge Hill, we played in the stuff, and, you know, we didn't really think much about it until afterwards that actually our people started getting sick and stuff, and there was nothing we could do about that pretty much. You know, everything's okay, but things are definitely way different now than they were back then. Like, life was so much more carefree back then. You actually had to choose to go into the drama before you got it. It didn't actually overlook you and stand over your shoulder for life. You actually created it within your own self to have it. Or if you didn't want it, you stayed away.
Okay, I'm Connie Van Donk. I'm really a lifetime resident here. I lived here, you know, most of my life, so I pretty much know everyone.
You know, many people would like to know, and we want to get the message out about who the Ramapough Lenape Turtle Clan is. So tell me, what was it like growing up as a Ramapough Native American? And can you tell me about some of your cultures and that you grew up with, including some of your medicinal herbs that you used growing up? So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, well, what I remember most importantly was always being close knit. Um, Family was just like every neighbor was, it may as well be your family. Um, our children were each other's children. We never had to worry about someone, you know, touching our children or going around our children. Someone, we always looked out for each other.
Your family and you sound amazingly resilient. What do you attribute that to? The resiliency of the Ramapough Lenape Turtle Clan and yourself as an individual.
Well, I would like to think that I have to really say our parents, I think, or you want to say the elders, um, basically they just felt that any type of offering, whether it be from your neighbor or your sibling or your aunt, uncle, whatever have you, you'd be thankful for what you get. And you know what? And when you can pay, repay it forward, then you do that as well. Um, it was just basically human kindness, just their wisdom. They had it much harder than us kids did, but somehow they found a way. I will never know. I truly will never know how our parents did it. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, and I, I just don't know how they did it. I mean, but they did. And it was just, it was always instilled in me to work hard you know, and you know what? Just go to church, be a good neighbor, help each other, love one another. And we've always tried to do that. We got through it by loving what we had and not by necessarily what we wanted. We just made do with whatever we had the best we could.
Okay. The last thing that I wanted to ask you, and I think you just led into that, is so what would you wish for? What do you want? What do you hope to tell the people who are listening to this YouTube? What do you want to get across to them? As Connie and as a Native American of the Ramapough tribe.
Basically, we're a very giving group of people. Um, I believe that we don't, even if we don't know someone, and if you needed help, we'd be there. And I would just like to say that I would just like to feel like, I think we all do, like we actually mean something to someone, because it just seems like the harder, we try to accomplish something different to make our lives, a little better, or even getting the word out to people of some of the types of things that we have to deal with on a daily basis, just to be counted somewhere. It just seems like no matter what is brought to the table, it just doesn't seem to go anywhere. And, some resources have come through, but nowhere near what a community of this size should have received so many. Oh, I mean, a long time ago. It's been a horrible fight. It truly has, but we've all hung in there. And I just frankly just don't understand why it seems like when one thing's accomplished, something else must be done, and not necessarily in our favor. That's all I'm saying. It seems like it doesn't matter what we say. You're just going to do what we give you or what you're told. And I just think that needs to change, so that this way people feel like they have meaning.
Well, 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 hey, oh, well, oh, hey, ah, hey, oh, hey.
14.